Welcome to The Glass Jar by Gwen Harwood. Notes for Module B, Critical Study of Text. Ensure you have a copy of the poem, highlighters and pens ready. We're going to be annotating the techniques that have been used to create meaning. We'll start with a quick glossary of the uncommon words Harwood has used. Make a note of these, as it will help you to understand the events and images created. Scansion involves marking up the stressed and unstressed syllables in a line. Here I have marked the stressed syllables with a pink slash and the unstressed syllables with an arrow. The first lines are in iambic tetrameter. That means there is an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable, iambic, and that there are 4 feet, 4 sets of brackets in a line. In scansion, it's important to make a note of where the pattern has been changed. This is what creates emphasis as you're reading through. Here, a glass jar in the reeling sun involves an iambic foot followed by a trochaic foot or a trochee. The effect of this is to emphasize the words glass jar. It changes the pattern and really makes you think about the title of the poem. Hoping also uses a trochaic foot, and I believe this also suggests that hoping is an important idea in this poem. The child's hope. The last 2 lines change from iambic tetrameter to iambic pentameter. That's because there are 5 feet, 5 sets of brackets in each line. You'll notice the final 2 words, fled and bed, rhyme. It's a rhyming couplet. When a rhyming couplet is in iambic pentameter, we refer to it as a heroic couplet. The rhyme scheme of this poem is pretty strictly A, B, B, A, C, C. Take a moment to move through the poem, marking the rhyme scheme as I have done. As with scansion, it's important to know where the rhyme scheme has been broken. We can see that summoned and envenomed and comforter and done to her are only half rhymes. They force the reader to stop and think because they've changed the flow of the poem. The rhyme scheme is entirely changed in the final stanza to X, Y, X, Z, Y, Z, or A, B, A, C, B, C. This changes the connections between words. We can see here that sleep and deep have been connected, just as waken and taken. Changing the rhyme scheme changes what the reader expects and creates new connections between lines. Alliteration, repeating a sound at the beginning of subsequent words, has been used to emphasize specific phrases in the poem. Move through and make a note of where alliteration has been used to emphasize phrases. Religious imagery is very important in this poem. Here I have circled words that I believe relate to religious imagery. Some of them are extremely obvious, such as holy and resurrected. Others are slightly less obvious. I did consider circling the word cross in the last line of the 4th stanza, but felt that this was slightly out of context. Make a note here on your poem of the religious imagery. Religious imagery is in direct contrast to the monstrous imagery, and in conflict with the monsters of the text. Make a note of the language which creates monstrous imagery. Motifs are recurring symbols or ideas, and there are lots of important motifs moving through Harwood's poetry. The first motif I've marked here is the glass jar. A monstrance is, of course, essentially a transparent jar which holds the host, or the Spirit of God in the Catholic Church. Here, the glass jar is holding a very important symbol of hope. Sleeping, dreaming, and waking is also an important motif. We can see that it's connected to danger and connected to visions. One important image I enjoyed moving through this poem was the image of music and dance. The child unable to read the score, the malignant ballet, the dance perpetual, and the song sung by the ravening birds. Darkness and light are also motifs that move through the poem. Make a note of the way darkness and light are interconnected. Here I have noted some of the other techniques which I found impacted my reading of the poem. Son's disciples is a biblical allusion to, of course, Jesus' disciples. Pincer and claw is an example of synecdoche, referring to an entire thing, in this case a monster, by just part of the thing, the pincer and the claw, the part that are scaring the child. Gross violence is an example of emotive language. As you note emotive language, look for some of the other words in the poem that are particularly emotive. To wink and laugh is an example of personification. The sun has been personified at several points in this poem.